so often we say the word sorry, and really it's a filler word.
Mm,
We don't mean it.
no.
We're not actually apologizing. We don't mean it. It's this, and we all have filler words. But this is one that we put in place. Find a new filler word. I
Yeah.
don't know what it might be for you. It'll be different for all of us, but just find a
Well,
new filler word that isn't putting yourself down.
exactly. And I think, it's interesting looking at it as finding a new filler word, because it's also very uncomfortable to have a gap in conversation, isn't it? Or,
Mm.
how do you round something off? And we do always try to fill in, and it is sometimes daunting to just be, actually, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to leave a gap there, or I'm just going to leave that hanging there. I
Mm.
don't need to say any more. And it potentially does come from that nervousness of having to keep talking and having to fill the conversation and make it comfortable for everybody else.
Yeah.
It's not just for us. We feel a responsibility to make everybody else feel comfortable as well. And I think all of this kind of culture, it all ties in. It's that responsibility, whereas at the same time we don't feel worthy
Mm.
of elevating ourselves. So yeah, I think there's something around that confidence and the acknowledgement that we do deserve certain things, or to be treated with respect, or we do deserve those things. So
Of course,
we shouldn't
we're
apologize
all
for
just
anything.
humans, yeah. And I
Mm.
think, understandably, like there always is, and you had a moment in the book with this where she's had a moment. She's like, right, I'm not going to put up with a man spreader, and overreacts. I think in society there's been a shift that way, as in it, and I think it is perhaps just starting to swing back again, where there was such great pushback against the idea of women putting themselves down, or thinking themselves as less than, and the pendulum swung really
Mm.
far the other way, where it was all about being a boss bitch and taking control and all that.
Yeah.
And really, that's great, but that, like any kind of movement, it always goes too far before it finds its balance. And you don't have to go from one extreme to the other, meek and apologetic, to then, oh my God, I'm taking on the world, and don't expect me to, all of that.
Yeah.
Actually, it's just finding your new way. You're still you. You're still confident,
Mm.
and you can do it with your own personality. You don't have to take on another one. And I
And your
think
own
a lot,
values, I
yeah,
think. And if they are about being kind to other people whilst being strong, assertive, confident, then the boss bitch is not something we want to aspire to, is it? And I think that um, while while we are in a shift, and many of us are still overly apologetic, I do think there is something that, if we see another woman sticking her neck out and it seems like, oh, that really stands out as a bit, because we're not used to it,
mm,
actually, we shouldn't just think, well, that's wrong. We should think, actually, they are doing something for all of us here. So we need to get behind her and we need to lift her up, as opposed to feeling envious that we couldn't do it, or thinking that it's wrong because it's not the norm, because it is a
yeah,
movement. And I think, the boss bitch idea will be diminished if we all stand together and if we
yeah,
all support one another, because we won't need to be fighting each other. We'll be lifting each other, which is
love
exactly
it.
what we need to do.